Okay, Dean Legge going to wrap up Georgia's 21-0 win over the Cats. Difficult game offensively. A difficult game in terms of just throwing the ball. There were, quick math here, 28 passes and 11 completions tonight. It was ugly out there. There were times in the first half where Georgia just couldn't move the ball at all because it felt like all they could do was run, and Kentucky was stacking the line, it felt like, and it took time for Georgia to get where they needed to go with it. But I'm going to tell you right now, it was tough to function out there for me. I'm on the field for games, and that was not fun at all. It was just a steady rain, and the bad part is, last week Georgia seemed to struggle with the pass game, and then this week you come out, and if you just look at the statistics, it looks like they struggled with the pass game, and certainly when they were throwing the ball in the first half, it wasn't great, but damn, you couldn't do anything. It was that bad out there. It was not. It was tough going, and I think that if you don't lose that game to South Carolina, people wouldn't be really concerned about that situation. But now that they know that it's out there, they're going to freak out and panic about it for a while. Kirby said tonight that they have more explosive plays this year at this point than last year. That doesn't feel right, but I'm sure he's not just making that up. So I think tonight, though, the explosion came from Georgia's run game. I mean, Brian Herrien did matter a lot. But DeAndre Swift, with almost 180 yards, that 39-yard touchdown in the third quarter felt like it won the game, and it was the first score. So Georgia just really ground them out tonight, and if you were a receiver, this just wasn't the night for you, for anybody on either team. I mean, Kentucky's longest pass was 9 yards. Not great. But I think you have to, to some degree, and I'm sure I'll continue to talk about the Kentucky game, you do have to move past it because, there were only 106 plays in this game tonight. That's just not a lot of play. But when you're rushing for 235 yards, you're doing something right. And Georgia was at the stage where they couldn't pass. It was not possible to consistently throw the football. Jake told me after the game, there were times where he just didn't feel super comfortable. The ball was so slick, it was hard to grip. If you had it out there for one play, it was, so it just was, you can't judge. It was very hard to judge anything from tonight on this. But when you have to run, they know you got to run, and you wind up with 235 yards, that's legit. So, I just think that at this point, you knew you were going to get to Jacksonville at some stage. You want it to be an important game. You don't want this to be like, 1996, and it doesn't matter what happens in Jacksonville. The Gators and the Dogs are probably the two best teams in the East. Missouri flushing one down the toilet tonight to Vanderbilt. It's hard to imagine that they will really contend in the East, but they only have one loss. So, I don't know, but they've got two ugly losses to Wyoming and Vanderbilt. Good God. But for Georgia, the game of the Gators is always the biggest game of the season. They're the better team. I know nobody wants to believe that right now, and if you don't, just go ahead and put your comments below. Today, they were a 7-point favorite against the Gators, and Georgia fans often do this. There's no in between. It's always some disaster or completely high that they don't want to come down from. And the truth is, this is one of the best 10 teams in the country, maybe one of the best 5, I don't know. But they did not play well against South Carolina, and they had the 4 turnovers. They played fine tonight. They didn't have turnovers, and they won the game by 21 points. So it's not which is it, it's that's how it goes when you don't hold on to the ball. Kentucky essentially had 2 turnovers. One of them was a legitimate turnover. The other one was that bad punt. And that changed the game. And that just totally changed the game. This team should still get to Atlanta. This team is better than Florida. I think they will beat Florida. But I think that it's a tricky game now all of a sudden. I mean, you know what you're getting into. Florida has improved from the beginning of the season. But there's still a lot of issues in Gainesville with things. I mean, their offense is not ideal in terms of the run game. They have some issues apparently now defending the run, and really more than anything, Florida is banged up big time, and those two defensive linemen not playing today, that really gave South Carolina a chance. They just couldn't take advantage of it. And on a day where Alabama's in a rock fight with Tennessee, Wisconsin loses to one of the worst teams in Division I football in Illinois. Texas is goofing around with Kansas. Maybe everybody just kind of has a mulligan. I don't know. But Georgia has got it all on the line here in against the Gators. They need to be ready to play. I suspect that they will be ready to play, and they need to execute. That's the biggest thing about these guys right now is they've got to execute, because in the first half they were struggling to execute, but Kentucky got tired. Will the Gators get tired? They got tired last year. Will Georgia's defense be able to stop Florida and hold them to 10 or 17 points? This is the game. This has always been the game. And if you're Georgia, believe it or not, you have to like where you're at going into the game. Wipe the South Carolina game from your memory, okay? I know you're not going to do that, but wipe it from your memory and look at the rest of the games that they've played this season. They have basically been dominating wins without, you don't have a turnover. They have been dominating wins, even the Notre Dame game. So that's what you need. You need to hold on the ball. You don't need to have as many turnovers. I mean, Florida turns the ball over a lot. That is a problem. They have double the amount of turnovers that Georgia does. So, and they had another bad one today. You just can't keep turning the ball over. It catches up with you, as we saw last week. So, Georgia with a 21-0 win over the Cats. 2 weeks until Jacksonville. Georgia, everybody's got to kind of get a little bit more even keel. I know that won't happen. I understand what this is, but everybody's got to kind of chill out a little bit and know that your whole season's in front of you. I mean, your whole season is totally in front of you. All right, Dean Legge wrapping up. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give us your comments below. You think I'm right or wrong. And then go over to dawgpost.com, DAWGPOST.com. We'll see you over on the website.